Hey there, everyone. We've been talking about building with really simple basic shapes. We talked about how a circle, it looked at in the right angle with the right perspective, slowly turns into an ellipse that starts to shift in perspective. And then when it shifts all the way, it turns into a horizontal line. So you don't actually see any of that ellipse anymore. We talked about how you can draw a basic rectangle and then turn that into a cube and so forth. So I have a little bit more of a complicated shape here with a little lantern. I'm going to show you how we can start to put it together. We will get more into measuring in the next unit, but I wanted to kind of start to lay it out. So without even drawing the subject at all, I was able to, I'm going to hold it this way so you can see it, kind of map it out. So I've got this little green space, this little black space. I've got the clear space, and I made a little note about where it breaks, the glass kind of dips in, and then it comes to this spot, this little dip here, this space, that thin black ring, and then the one down below. So this is what all these exercises are for. And remember, these are exercises. These aren't really intended to make a finished product drawing. It's more that action or the verb of drawing that we're trying to work on to try and understand. So what I'm going to just try to do very loose and light is see if I can start with the most basic shape and see if I can turn it into this lantern at an early stage. I'm going to use the side of my vine, and I'm going to start with the biggest shape. So that's this part here. And half the battle with drawing is just getting started. And then I'm gonna try and get the part that kind of dips down, but I want them to be about the same size. This is how we can work out symmetries. So I'm drawing these rectangles just to know that I'm gonna be taking my diagonal down to the same place. And so then I don't have things that are off balance. So I can kind of start to lay that in a little better. So essentially then I have a rectangle and a trapezoid. I can move into this little black ring, and it jumps out a little further. And I know it's round, but right now I'm just going to draw it as a rectangle. And trying to make sure that I'm kind of symmetrical. And then I jump up on here, but this is again where I'm going to do a little early measuring, and I'm going to say if the glass part is here, this looks like it's a little narrower than that, so I'm going to use this rectangle and come up, and that will help me then know where to do these diagonals so that they are symmetrical. Oh wait, from here, sorry. So something along those lines. Actually, this one, I want this to be out further. Drawing is so much about adjusting and reworking. And that's why it's fun to just work in simple shapes at the beginning, because you can change it so fast and you haven't like fussed any detail yet. And that's why we like this vine. While it feels really messy, and it is, it's also exceptionally forgiving, which is really nice. So moving on in the form, when I'm looking at it like this, it is a horizontal. But when I flip it up, I do have a ellipse here. So I'm gonna kind of delete that. And then you can see how with the vine, I can start to rearrange and reshape some things. You can also see how down the road we can add value and it'll start to take on form. We'll have a whole section on value though, so don't you worry. So again, a simple rectangle. This shoots back out, so I'm going to drop another vertical. It's a little wider than the lantern, but by dropping these little verticals, I'm doing two things. I'm seeing that this is the same distance from edge to edge, and I'm trying to make sure that it's parallel to the edge of the picture plane so that I don't have my vessel feel like it's tilting off. So I'm going to take this out to here. I can compare and hope that they're similar in scope. And I have a straight line here, but I can see, like if I hold it here like this for you, this is a horizontal, but as I move it, you can see that it turns into an ellipse or curve. And these come straight down. Same thing, so now I'm going to mimic this curve. And then it pulls out, drops down. But it all started from these really simple shapes. And then you have the beginnings of a lantern. And again, this isn't where we're gonna, completely work messy like this all the time. It's more that this is just the learning how to map and understanding how to start to build the space. Okay, we will get back together here in a minute. This is where it will go from here though. And then we'll slowly, carefully, with other more thoughtful materials, we can start to give things shape and value and so forth. But we'll get there. That part we'll work on that. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Have fun making your basic shapes. Be very patient with yourself. And we will see you again in the next unit.